Welcome to Inner Voice of Knowing podcast. I'm Kaye, a shamanic leadership coach and healer, guiding you through life with a foot in both worlds. When you understand the terrain of the inner landscapes, the mental, emotional, spiritual, and energetic, you will become the leader within your physical life, both personally and professionally. After all, the power of change is in your hands. Let's get this journey started. Welcome back to Inner Voice of Knowing. Everything is energy, and you've heard me say that before, and we're soul and energy first. So let's do a bit of an exploration today about what I call Shaman Speak. In other words, how would the shaman speak in terms of an expanded energy? An energy that keeps us more open to that inner voice of knowing, to the guidance that comes from within us and from around us. That everything, you've heard me say this before, has a right to be seen and heard. But the words that we speak to communicate and the words that we say to ourselves and to others when we're sharing hold power. Now, are you either locking yourself in and continuing the spiral downwards, or let's explore what the alternatives are in Shaman Speak. Shaman Speak is how we will speak about ourselves. How will we communicate what's happening honestly but expansively to others rather than as the victim and an energy that contracts. Shaman Speak is how we invoke and invite source and insight and truth from us, from the universe. How we work with the energy through the spoken word, hence Shaman Speak. I was working with a client the other day, and this is where it really highlighted for me, because I've recently run a day retreat and then full moon ceremony. And if you're listening to this as this episode comes out, we are right in full moon for July. So everything's getting amplified. And everything is speaking to us and through us all the time. And this is where I say, if you understand the landscape or the terrain that you're traveling through, and if you understand the language, then you have choice. But like learning a new language, you need to practice. You need to, for lack of a better word, implement, study, apply, until it becomes so integrated within you. And Shaman Speak is like learning a whole new language. I was talking to my dearest friend when I was on my power walk this morning, doing all my energy work to prepare myself for the day and for recording this podcast as well. And I've personally been going through a great journey of expansiveness and change and reclaiming some more fractured aspects of self that I need. I need that energy. I need that reclaimed and reintegrated back into wholeness so I can continue to consciously craft and create my aspired outcomes, my callings, my deep inner soul callings. And I've been remembering, I'm now 60, I've been remembering what I was like as a teenager and in my early 20s before I became more consciously aware of myself as a shaman and this path. And I hated myself. I hated life. I thought I was ugly, masculine. I was in some real self-loathing and resentment. But as I started to turn my vision inwards and listen to the words that I was using and feel into the energy of the words that I was choosing, I began to recognize, hear, and feel and sense and know just what I was doing to myself. So I started with Shaman Speak. I developed the opposite of the things that I was saying to myself. I turned them into I am statements. I kept a notebook in the kitchen because that was sort of the central room at the time. And any time that I said and spoke out or thought something of a lower vibrational frequency, something that we would term as negative, I would cancel it out. I would ask for forgiveness and I would speak it out, and I would take note of the observation that I'd had of myself and how I felt when I spoke below the line. And Shaman Speak is above the line, so how I felt when I flipped it. But this took consistency. But the more that I took note of the change of how I felt, the more I knew that which I needed to keep choosing. And anytime I fell back into old ways, I would take note of how my body felt, how I was feeling, what I was thinking, what spiral I was starting to doing. And then I would go, hold on. I wasn't living like that. I wasn't feeling like that. I wasn't thinking like that. I wasn't breathing like that. My body wasn't reacting like that when I chose this Shaman Speak, the words above the line. But first thing, we need to be willing. We need to be willing to listen to ourselves. We need to be willing to become self-observant. And in that, you'll get to know the energy and what that energy is doing to you. So working with a client, and we're working with, participants throughout these last few weeks and clients coming in. There was one story shared, and I know we've all had this, and I've had this before, where we wake up and we feel a lot of grief, really unhappy about something, and a sense of great loss. It's a challenge. And so we release that grief, we cry, whatever it is, and then we get on with the day. So this beautiful client had something similar and got on with the day. But then when she goes to communicate, she's communicating a repeat pattern. She's recycling a story and drags it into the rest of the day. So other people that can be uncomfortable by a repetitive story come from a great place to try to shift us. Good intention. But if there's victimhood, vulnerability, loss, and grief, and the right to actually also experience that, as long as you have the desire to also move beyond that, like those words, I choose not to be a victim. But you still have grief and a sense of loss and confusion to move through. This is what I said to my client. You can be honest with yourself. And this is the thing. We need to be honest so we don't create discord within ourselves. We don't fake it to make it. We reframe it. We change how we speak into it and communicate it via the energy of Shaman Speak. Wise words, expansive words, where we're still acknowledging, but we're not contracting, we're not recycling, we're not continuing to weave and express that story, but we are being deeply true and honest, but in an expansive way. So here's the example. Rather than, oh, I had a horrible morning and I grieved and rah, 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 right? Sure, there was the challenge, there was the grief, there was the need to release, there was the energy that it takes to then get up out of bed and step into the day. And I said, how about if you show up and you say to people, if you've had one of those grief starts to the day, those challenging emotional starts to the day, as you're moving through this with the intention to be freed from this. Feel into these words. Someone says, hi, how are you? Challenged, yet well. Let that land. Challenged, yet well. You're not talking about and recycling your story. You're saying you were challenged, but you're well. Because when you move beyond that and then you step outside of that and you choose to get up out of bed and you choose to greet the day and you choose to get on, you can have, as you've heard me say that before, the challenge and being well walk with you in your life hand in hand. So you're not doing victim speak. You're not recycling the pain and the grief, which then makes it uncomfortable for others because they want to, with good intentions, help you cross that bridge into a more positive place. But you can bring that expansive energy just by changing how you communicate that. So the Shaman Speak would be challenged, which honors that part of you that felt challenged, that felt that grief, that was reliving that loss and expressing that out. But you're still alive, you're still breathing, the sun was still out, you're still going to visit wonderful friends. So you honor the truth from a more expansive way. You honor the energy, which means it's been seen, it's been heard, and in this it's being validated. But you, my friend, are more empowered. You are expanding your energy via these powerful words, choosing above the line communication. You are honoring, you are empowering, you are expanding. So there's one example. Imagine if you're feeling doubt. And we all get moments of doubt, whether you're an entrepreneur or creating some change in your life, not getting the job that you want or the career or whatever it might be, in any area of your life. Remember, everything I'm talking about is the truth that sits within everything that you're consciously crafting and creating and experiencing. So health and well-being, finances, relationship, career or profession, professional or personal life. So we all have moments of doubt. And when we're in the moments of that doubt, if we don't work with the energy of that doubt and we start letting the old stories, the old false stories and beliefs, the old language, the old way of communicating that spirals us down. Like, I'm scared, I don't know what I'm doing, maybe this isn't going to work, I don't know what to do, I feel so lost, I feel confused. As I'm saying these words, can you feel that whirlpool, that spiral down, that vortex pull down? Living and creating and developing that relationship between your physical existence and your unseen world, you're going to have times of uncertainty, of doubt, and that's okay. But let's bring some Shaman Speak into that. Okay, so I'm feeling doubt. If I feed that doubt for too long, it's going to spiral me down into fear. Always then leads to deeper contraction, stagnation, excuses, and for many, running away from the very thing you've been aspiring to that you're actually getting closer to. So this is a call for another deep letting go and a deepening of your relationship to understanding the energy, understanding the terrain, and deepening your relationship to your inner voice of knowing, source, soul, successful self. So rather than sitting in the passenger seat and letting that doubt spiral down, Shaman Speak, bringing it above the line and expansive, would be an invocation. An invocation is an invitation. An invocation might be, I feel doubt, source. I'm in doubt right now. Source, make your presence from within me and around me felt more powerfully. You're inviting it in. Okay, it's the invitation, the invocation. Remove all illusion that has become an intrusion and reveal to me the truth. Reveal to me the truth. Then give me the strength to walk the path you lay before me. You have acknowledged that you're in uncertainty, that you're in doubt, that you're in a moment of a surrender. What do I do? See, everything that we're resisting, we need to lean into and unmask the illusion that it's wrapped in and become more masterful with how we work with the energy. And the power, Shaman Speak words, above the line, vibrational frequency words that we choose to harness. You are keeping yourself open with that invocation or invitation, with those words. Basically, you're doing a surrender. You know that there's illusion wrapped in with what you're feeling. You're not denying it. You're not trying to make it something else that it is. You are saying it. You are naming it so it has been seen and heard, and then you are inviting in that presence that exists within you and around you to remove the illusion that's become the intrusion and to reveal to you the truth. You have opened yourself up. You have put yourself into a state of receptivity. Now, if it's already moved into deep fear, then you go to my website, you download the 5-minute process to defuse your fears and boost your confidence. And then you do this invocation. So I'm trying to explain it so you're like, I see what Kaye is sharing with me here. I feel the energy of it. I understand the pathways that are opening for the insight, for the truth to reveal itself. And in doing that invocation, you are also bringing forth your surrender. You don't walk this path alone. The unseen walks with you and accompanies around you. You are supported in this. The light will shine its way through you and to you. And then you must know that when that invocation, that invitation has been spoken out, Source will answer, Soul will answer, Successful Self will answer. The unseen world will answer you. But you need to remain open and receptive to receive. Hence, you make these powerful choices. So you honour that this doubt has been seen and heard. And then you bring an expansiveness to it in how you speak and what you invite to it. This gives you power. This makes you the leader within your own life. But imagine if you keep saying, I don't know, I've taken the wrong path, I can't do this. Then you bring in all the excuses. So many entrepreneurs in particular will sabotage their businesses when they feel this doubt, when they fear this doubt, and they recoil back into an old and start backtracking from the very thing that is called to them from deep within their soul. And remember, you have free will, my friends. You have free will. What is more Shaman Speak? Here is more Shaman Speak, and I'll share this from my own experience this past week. I was really feeling triggered. And through my meditation and my shamanic practices and all of this, I get to a point where I observe. The very first thing that I do is when I triggered, it's like, what is it within me that's trying to speak to me? What is it that's needing to be seen and heard, recognized, possibly reclaimed? And there were a series of events that were like, you know, the breadcrumbs left or the little signs along the way until it brought me to that answer. Through my power questions, which is part of that Shaman Speak, not blaming the outer. What is it? What's the gift in this? What am I missing? What do I need to see within myself and within this experience? And then there was an email, and there was nothing wrong with the email, but it really triggered me. And I'm observing myself feeling really irritated, expressing that irritation, but at the same time, okay, what's really going on here? You know, that take that power question in, and suddenly it came out about an aspect that I needed to reclaim, and it all fell into place, and it was about a deeper sense of worth, something that I have dealt with, but sometimes we just have that last little bit, like the thorn, the head of the thorn that's just stuck and that needs to come out, and it's like all things fell into place. And the minute I acknowledged that's what it was, I felt the tears. Now, here's the thing. I had a busy day ahead of me. So this is where Shaman Speak comes in. I felt so much grief, and I knew that I needed to go in and meditatively reclaim this part and this beautiful energy back through my system. All I could do first up was just pull some of the heavier energy out through certain centers in my body that had been trying to speak to me through my body by a cold that still was just having a little bit of a hold. So from my chest, from my throat, from my third eye. And I just said to that aspect, here's the Shaman Speak. Your emotions are important to me. Your need to cry and express is important to me. I have a busy day. Let's bring peace right now. And then I named a time. I will come back in and let you express. My whole energy system aligned. I felt calm. The emotions subsided. because I had acknowledged and validated and said that space will be created for the expression of, which means I wasn't feeling a victim in it. I was acknowledging it just needed the expression and the reclaiming. And then I kept that promise and I sat, and the moment I took a few breaths and did my heart intelligence breathing that I've been teaching you all, the tears came as a release, not as a victim, not as a recycle. And I brought that beautiful aspect into a space of love, compassion, and understanding and forgiveness and acknowledgement and celebration that she had made herself known to me through these triggers, through the health in my body. So the Shaman Speak, the above the line was, you have the right to express, but let's bring harmony to it right now, because I have all of this to do, and I will come back to you. I think I even named a time that I knew I could commit to and follow through. And you will have the space then to release your feelings. So powerful. So powerful. I'm going to bring you one more example. And then you can either contact me and ask for advice on the powerful way to communicate, or better still, explore for yourself. Another client had shared with me that had gone through a lot of trauma for many years, one that just could not be walked away from. This had to be experienced karmically. Very, very challenging. And so moving through now to reclaim her relationship to herself and to source, and to reclaim inner freedom, to reframe the stance, that powerful stance of incredible strength that actually got her through all these years. And now that strength needed to be softened and redirected energetically to guide her through into freedom. See, even the way I'm speaking about that, which my client began to feel and understand, we're not getting rid of anything. We're reframing it. We're talking about it from an energetic, expansive redirection, shaman speak. Expansive energy. Purpose to what's been, the purpose of where she is right now. But one of the stories that went with it, I'm sure many can relate. I'm not like everybody else. Two things. To reframe it into shaman speak, into expansive language and perception was, one, yes, there are many people that live as the victims to their grief, that live as the victims to their circumstances, and stay that way. So yes, you are like many people, which starts to allow her to feel a deep level of acceptance. And then the second thing is another flip. But you're right, you're also not like many people, because many people will spend their whole life avoiding this journey. Many people will spend their whole life avoiding this journey and not walking the path that you've now started to turn your vision inwards, to reclaim your divinity, to rebuild yourself and experience freedom so that you can step more fully into living the fullness of your life and no longer being a victim to this. That is Shaman Speak. That is changing the perspective, honoring exactly the feeling. But even then, that feeling, it's harder to exist. The energy of that is harder to exist because you've already redirected it into a higher purpose. We've already called the illusion that has become the intrusion within that speaking, within that story. So, you're not like everybody else in this aspect, and you are just like many who have experienced long-term trauma. So my invitation to you in this episode is to consider these words very carefully, to make a conscious choice to write down the stories that you are continually telling yourself, and then bring a power question into it. Bring the energy of the inner voice of knowing, source, soul, successful self, to help guide you from the lenses that you're wearing, from the constant story that you're weaving, that you're getting stuck in like that sticky spider's web, where you could reframe it, bring a more expansive language to it that still honors it. So in a way, it's elevating that story into something vaster, more expansive, more uplifting, more meaning to it. So you might want to listen to this episode a few times to really, sometimes close your eyes and listen to what I'm really saying and the energy behind it. And the examples that I've gifted you in this episode, feel it. Say your story over a few times and feel it. Bring awareness to what you do with your body and your breath. Okay, I had a client in one of the ceremonies who, the more that she was doing the journey with, the shoulders came forward and the body was closed. The energy was speaking to her. Because I understand, I was able to guide her through it, even in opening the shoulders back, explaining what was happening, and then doing the Shaman Speak and reframing it and talking about it in a more expansive, elevated, powerful way. She was already starting to experience a sense of freedom. So watch the connection, watch the threads of how you speak, how your body responds, and what happens with your breathing. So you're not only going to work with the power and the energy held within the words that you speak, above the line, bringing it from below the line to above the line into Shaman Speak, but you're going to direct your energy through the body by becoming aware of where it's contracting you physically, where it's trapping your breath, so that you can work with the words, the energy of the words, work with the energy within the body, and work with the energy via your breath. Here's one last one to finish with, because it's just sitting there really strongly. And whenever I say this to people, they harness it. When you're uncertain with something that's taking place in your life and you feel that you can't make sense of it, and you're getting deeper and deeper into wanting to try to control, here's Shaman Speak. When something really isn't making sense for you, what the hell is happening here? Shaman Speak is open the body, take a deep breath and go, I can't see the whole picture and I can't see round corners. Source does. You have opened yourself up. You have acknowledged in that invocation, in that statement, in that way of shaman speak, I'm letting go of control here. So I'm going to remain open because I can't see round the corners and I don't see the whole picture. But the moment you say that source does, there's a subtle invitation again. And you're saying in that, source will show me the way through this. Source will bring me the meaning. Source will help me understand the gift and release the insight through me and to me. So I leave you with that one. And remember, the power of change is in your hands. And so is the power of choice. Become self-observant. Try out some of these ways of speaking and experience the power of it as you implement the consistency of it and the statements. Experience it for yourself. You will feel the difference. So much love to you, so much power to you, so much beauty to you. Thank you for listening. Join me on my next episode. And if you love this podcast, please subscribe by clicking on the plus button if you're on Apple, or like and follow on Spotify. Rate and review. And please share Inner Voice of Knowing with your friends.